Cool. Nice to see everyone, and thanks for the invitation. Yeah, I'm going to talk about Captions. Going to talk about the company a little bit, and a little what we work on, and show you a little bit more of a demo. Definitely a little bit of a different discussion. We focus on, by talking about Captions, I'm going to talk a little more about how everyday people, from kind of we refer to as like prosumers to small business and larger business as well, but how they use AI essentially every single day. Obviously, we focus on video, or maybe that's not obvious, but I'll tell you what that's obvious. Yeah, and obviously happy to answer any questions at the end. So yeah, really quickly, Captions was founded by myself and my co-founder Gaurav. We met way back at a startup called Localytics. If anyone was used any of the mobile analytics products back then, like in 2014 or so. Gaurav's background is in machine learning. Worked at Microsoft as a machine learning engineer after leaving his PhD, but then ultimately, probably one of the more rare folks, went into product design, and yeah, ran design engineering at Snapchat eventually. My background is more in, I started off as an engineer, but actually spent most of my time in product management. After Localytics, I went to a very different route, but helped Goldman Sachs start their consumer business called Marcus. But much more interesting is our team. We're about 60 people here in New York. All of us are here except for our support team, who's around the world. We're in Union Square. Some of the folks that have backed us over the years, we're about 4 years old. I'll kind of go more into that, but yeah, we're actually in Ramp's old office down in Union Square, which appears that they got quite the upgrade. We raised a little more, like we've raised a little over 100 million to date from Sequoia, Kleiner, Index, who led our Series C earlier this year, and Dreesen kind of earlier on, and some of the other folks. Yeah, so Captions, we've helped over 10 million creators and businesses around the world generate video and create video. To give you an idea, only about 20-25% of our business is in the United States, so it's a very kind of international business and just user base overall. But maybe more interesting, I'll have one of our creators here tell you a little more about it.
Hey, Data-Driven NYC. I'm an AI creator, here with some brief context on Captions. In 2021, short-form platforms like TikTok really took off, as see the new format of video where creators address the camera directly. In response, we launched our iOS app, featuring Captions. Today, millions of creators around the world use Captions to generate and edit their videos.
So to give you an idea, that video is, and there's a slight delay here, but that video is created by just giving a script. And so that person, all of the video is generated along with the editing. So all the imagery, captions, motion graphics, sounds, sound effects, all that. And that's essentially what we focus on. Yeah, to talk a little bit about why this matters, why we focus on this, why we exist. We aim to take the time, equipment, and complexity out of video creation. Again, I kind of talked about, and I'll go a little more into it, of who we focus on and who uses Captions. But I'm sure everyone in the room has tried to create video at some point in their life, whether you're sending a video to somebody you know, or you do it every day for work or something like that. At the end of the day, like, you still have to go through all of these stages, and as video gets more serious or so, I'm sure all of these stages or various stages here are more complicated. But ultimately, you have to figure out what you want to say. You have to figure out where you're going to film it. You have to film it. You have to edit it, right? You have all this post-production work, all the things I was mentioning before, imagery, music, sound effects, all of that. If you're using it in any sort of kind of professional or commercial setting, you have to worry about licensing that music. You have to worry about licensing maybe even the sound effects, maybe the images, and all of this obviously becomes super complex. And if you're in more operating in multiple geos or anything like that, you might have to worry about translation and localization, which obviously further complicates everything. And so ultimately, time and cost to create video is incredibly expensive and it's complex. And at Captions, we essentially aim to simplify that. And yeah, again, we make it possible for anyone and anywhere to produce video. We operate on iOS and Android for mobile. Again, as like a prosumer user base, makes sense. but we also operate user on a web app as well. But to give you an idea of who's using this, I can kind of stand up here and just say, small businesses, prosumer, whatever. But to just like contextualize that, a lot of our users, think as small of a business as a real estate agent who has to create a ton of video to promote their business, maybe just send directly to clients, so it may not even be posted anywhere, to physical trainers around the world, also related things like that, service-based businesses, people who own stores, promoting their e-commerce businesses, all of those things. They might be creating organic content, they might be creating paid content for advertising, and just embedded content for their website, all of those kind of different use cases. And so I just gave a couple of examples here of folks around the world that are using it. Just a quick stat: over 3 million videos are created monthly, and obviously growing here. But that's actually just the export number. The number of videos created on the platform is much larger. I'll go into just like a little bit of the product, how this works, what it looks like. I obviously gave the quick demo, but to go into a couple of the different feature areas. I mentioned the kind of editing component. You saw that example. The creator themselves. Some people are just generating the creator. The kind of a different flavor of AI creator for us, we kind of call it AI twin, where you can clone yourself. So as little as 60 seconds of video, you can generate a clone of yourself. You can create as many as you want, wearing different things, different kind of environments. To give you an idea of a use case there is, think like salespeople. They want to be able to create a quick welcome video, a personalized video to maybe a client or someone they're sending an email to, something like that. To ads, I kind of started to allude to that, but and I'll show a quick demo after this, but you want to be able to create really quick UGC style ads for maybe your e-commerce business. And then lip dub here at the bottom, that's a marketing term, and it's also our term for our internal video model. But the feature itself is translation and localization. So I was mentioning before, if you operate in multiple regions, or you have like a multilingual client base or something. Again, real estate is a great example of that. If you maybe sell real estate in Miami and you have predominantly or English, but also obviously Spanish speaking population, you want to be able to translate and dub your videos. So we offer the translation component, but where we focus our research and our software is the actual dubbing of the lips and the kind of manipulation of the video to make it look like they're actually speaking that other language. And so you can do that into almost 30 different languages. And again, to give you even more context on that, think you're a performance marketing team. You have a creative that's really winning in the United States, for instance, and speaking English, and you're either expanding to other markets or you're already operating in those markets. I think if any marketers are in the room, I think I'm seeing some head nods. Everyone knows that ads managers over the years, Facebook, TikTok, whatever it might be, got extremely creative hungry, right? So they wanted you to do this more general targeting at the more ad group level, and that's generally where things have moved. And that means you require a ton of creative, and that creative has a lot of creative fatigue. So only depending on impressions and how many times it's being seen, that could happen in a week or 2 weeks of just serving that creative. And so you need a lot of creative. And so that's where Creator comes in. You can supplement that. You can create more. If you've never created any video, you can just go from 0 to 1 like that. But it helps on that side. And then on translation, you can quickly take a winning creative in English and expand it to Spanish or French or whatever it is, just to be able to test it very quickly and see if they're test new markets, test new products, kind of all of those aspects. I'll show you a quick demo of how to set up AI ads in our web app. So basically, this person's going in, taking a URL from their product page. We just scrape all of the media and the description of the product, all of that. You can use your own scripts. You can generate a quick script. You can go through our catalog of creators. That's kind of what they're doing, and just quick caption options. And pretty quickly, you'll come out with an output that looks like this.
3 reasons you should try Thuma's classic bed. 1. effortless assembly with Japanese joinery for rock-solid stability. 2. Eco-friendly design using 100% upcycled rubber wood. 3. Sleek, minimalist style that adapts to your space. Upgrade your sleep experience with Thuma, where form meets function in perfect harmony.
So again, just like a really quick, simple example of how this can be used. And of course, brands are using their own images, own assets. You can use your own custom fonts that only you have licensing to. And so I obviously just showing you a really kind of simple example of that. But for larger companies, that's obviously true. But you have to remember too, like for the really, really small Etsy shop, for the really, really small businesses that are kind of just getting started. That's what we really aim to solve with this kind of stuff. And then another example, and this is slightly more a combination of both audio, but again, our focus is on the video, is a little of the harmonization side of things. And so, I think everyone's seen AI video or generated video, and the audio might sound like a little robotic, or it might use like, okay, maybe I'm not going to buy that sofa from the robotic voice or something. And so that's where Echo kind of comes in for us, and why we developed it. I'll kind of give an example of the video prior to applying it, and then I'll show you an example afterwards.
Ever dreamed of waking up in a treehouse, or how about a castle? Well, stop dreaming and start booking. With Airbnb, you can stay in places you never thought possible. From underwater rooms to igloos, there's a unique stay waiting for you. Your next adventure is calling. Answer it with Airbnb. Book now and thank me later. Ever dreamed of waking up in a treehouse? Or how about a castle? Well, stop dreaming and start booking. With Airbnb, you can stay in places you never thought possible. From underwater rooms to igloos, there's a unique stay waiting for you. Your next adventure is calling. Answer it with Airbnb. Book now and thank me later.
And where that stuff really comes into play is our twin product and such, where you may want to generate the video using a script and stuff. But again, like I was saying with like things like sales, like you may actually want to emphasize things a certain way. You may want to, again, that's really what if you're trying to convey a message or tell a story, you don't want just this like monotone voice across it. And that's where you can kind of apply this stuff to some of the everyday uses. And then this is more of just an example. We have our clone Gaurav here to show off it.
My fellow citizens,
I stand here today humbled by the task before us, grateful for the trust you have bestowed, mindful of the sacrifices borne by our ancestors.
Obviously not the normal use case. But, cool, yeah. So again, happy to answer any questions, and yeah, thank you.
So you mentioned how you focused on the dubbing, the face, all the things. Can you talk about the underlying technology? What else do you use? Commercial models, APIs. Do you have partners to provide some of the technology? Do you use some of your open source and what you build? How the whole mix works?
Yeah. Let's see. So yeah, kind of like what I was mentioning in the presentation. We focus on video. And so things like audio, we don't. And so, for instance, we use 11 Labs, and the voice that you're hearing is 11 Labs. But on the video manipulation, et cetera, that's where we focus. We also, for instance, like the generation of scripts and stuff, we use partners for those things. Some of that is closed source, some of that is open source, and we'll use the best of breed for those things, and it's just not something we focus on. But where our research is focused, again, on video, particularly humans, everything is proprietary. So that's built from kind of from scratch architecture, et cetera. Yeah.
And what does a team look like for a company like yours, which straddles sort of research and application? Do you have a bunch of PhDs doing some original stuff, or is it mostly engineers? What does it look like?
Yep. So on the research side, it does tend to be PhDs, not a requirement, but yes, that's what it looks like. So the team structure, and again, probably not surprising, as I was saying, with the kind of more small business and kind of prosumer focus, the team kind of looks like that, like bottoms up growth motion outside of research, and so that means like larger marketing team, not exactly a sales team, but predominantly at the company is engineering. But for that looks like product engineering. So think like, everyone working on all the clients, so iOS, Android, web, API, etc., and then our backend team. The backend team kind of straddles both normal kind of building web services and such, but also more like MLE work, so productionizing a lot of the models and such, and inference and whatnot. And then on the research side, that's kind of like the across, where they're training these models, predominantly kind of PhD backgrounds, video backgrounds, diffusion backgrounds and such, and then and some of that is also kind of technically research engineering, which sometimes is not a PhD. Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.